NBC wanted another hit procedural. What they got was a show where a time traveler leaps into women, minorities, and disabled people to teach America about social justice.
You man!
And somehow made it the most wholesome TV ever created. In 1989, Donald P. Bellisario pitched a series about a scientist bouncing through history, expecting networks to see easy sci-fi money.
Who, after seeing the pilot, said, "He broke all the rules of time travel." That was a negative.
Instead, he gave them Quantum Leap, a show where the government spends $43 billion on a time machine that malfunctions immediately, where Scott Bakula spends 5 seasons trapped in other people's bodies, while Dean Stockwell chain smokes cigars as a hologram, where the central premise is literally fixing what once went wrong by having a straight white male experience life as everyone else. This is the story of television's most ambitious social experiment disguised as light entertainment, a series that NBC moved through more time slots than Sam Beckett leaped through decades, where the science fiction was just an excuse to explore civil rights, women's liberation, and disability awareness in primetime network television. Quantum Leap survived constant scheduling sabotage, budget constraints, and network interference for 5 seasons by doing something impossible, making empathy appointment television. It was the perfect show about imperfect people trying to make the world slightly better, one leap at a time. Donald P. Bellisario didn't set out to change television. The creator of Magnum PY and Airwolf was known for straightforward action entertainment, helicopters, fast cars, and Tom Selleck's mustache. But when he pitched Quantum Leap to NBC in 1988, he accidentally created the most subversive show on network television. The original concept was simple. Scientist gets stuck in time, fixes historical problems, jumps to next decade. Clean, episodic, perfect for syndication. What Bellisario didn't anticipate was how the premise would force his protagonist to literally walk in other people's shoes. Sam Beckett couldn't just observe history, he had to live it as women, African Americans, Native Americans, the mentally disabled, and every marginalized group television usually ignored. NBC executives saw the pitch and thought, time travel equals Star Trek money.
Do you want to shoot me?
You take one more step, and I'll kill you.
They completely missed that Bellisario was proposing a weekly morality play where audiences would experience discrimination firsthand through their white male protagonist. The network wanted escapist entertainment and got confrontational social commentary wrapped in sci-fi packaging. The genius was in the misdirection. Quantum Leap looked like harmless nostalgia television, Sam leaping into the 1950s and 60s with period costumes and classic rock soundtracks. But every leap was actually a history lesson about systemic injustice. Sam experiencing racism as a black man in the segregated South, facing sexism as a pregnant woman in the workplace, understanding disability, discrimination as a mentally challenged person. Bellisario was smuggling progressive politics into conservative programming by making the hero the victim. Audiences couldn't dismiss the discrimination because it was happening to Scott Bakula, the charming scientist they'd grown to love. He wasn't preaching about social justice, he was living it, suffering through it, and fighting against it episode after episode. The show that NBC thought would be harmless time travel fun became television's stealth civil rights curriculum. Sometimes the best revolutions disguise themselves as entertainment. NBC treated Quantum Leap like a scheduling experiment, bouncing it through more time slots than Sam bounced through decades. The show premiered Friday nights, moved to Wednesdays, shifted to Fridays again, then landed on Tuesdays before the finale aired on a Wednesday. Each move was supposed to find its audience, but really demonstrated that NBC had no idea what they had. The Friday night death slot was brutal. Quantum Leap's target audience, teens and young adults, were out on dates, not home watching quantum physics and social commentary. The ratings slipped immediately because the people who would most appreciate the show's messages were living their actual lives instead of watching television. When NBC finally moved it to Wednesday nights at 10 p.m., the show found its footing. Adults were home, ready for thoughtful entertainment after primetime's comedies and dramas. But success meant another move, this time to the coveted Friday 8 p.m. slot where it would compete with family programming. Wrong audience, wrong expectations, same result. Declining ratings. The network's solution? More moves. Tuesdays at 8 p.m. for the final season, where it died slowly against established competition. 5 seasons, 6 different time slots, countless promotional campaigns trying to explain what the show actually was. NBC kept treating Quantum Leap like a problem to solve instead of a unique voice to nurture. Brandon Tartikoff, NBC's entertainment president, summed up the network's confusion perfectly. They kept expecting the show to find massive audiences while constantly moving it away from the viewers who had finally discovered it. Each scheduling change reset the show's momentum, forcing it to rebuild its fan base from scratch. The irony was perfect. A show about a man displaced in time was constantly displaced by its own network. NBC spent 5 years trying to find the right time for Quantum Leap, while Sam spent 5 years trying to find his way home. Both quests ended in disappointment, but only one created a lasting legacy. What made Quantum Leap revolutionary wasn't the time travel, it was the body swapping. Previous sci-fi shows sent heroes back in time as themselves, maintaining their privilege and perspective. Sam Beckett had to literally become other people, experiencing their lives from the inside. It was television's first sustained experiment in forced empathy. The show's most powerful episodes put Sam in situations that white male audiences had never experienced. The Color of Truth made him a black chauffeur in the segregated South, facing racism that felt viscerally real because viewers experienced it through their protagonist. What price Gloria? Put him in a woman's body, fighting workplace sexual harassment when those conversations barely existed in mainstream media. Scott Bakula's performance was crucial to the experiment's success. He had to convince audiences that he truly was experiencing life as someone completely different, while never losing the core humanity that made Sam relatable. The physical comedy of a man adjusting to a woman's body, or an elderly person's limitations, could have been offensive in lesser hands. Bakula played it with curiosity and respect, making the audience feel the confusion and vulnerability alongside him. Dean Stockwell's Al provided the perfect counterpoint, the holographic observer who could see the injustices Sam faced, but couldn't intervene directly. Al represented the audience's frustration at watching discrimination happen, while being powerless to stop it. His growing outrage at the situation Sam encountered mirrored viewers' emotional journey. The show's Swiss cheese memory explanation was actually brilliant storytelling disguised as convenient plotting. Sam remembering just enough to function, but not enough to maintain his original identity, forced him to adapt to each new situation authentically. He couldn't rely on his privileged background. He had to learn how his new identity navigated the world. Quantum Leap turned television watching into a weekly masterclass in perspective taking. Audiences didn't just observe discrimination. They felt it through their beloved protagonist. Sometimes the most effective way to teach empathy is to make it impossible to look away. Despite NBC's scheduling chaos, Quantum Leap found its audience through sheer quality and word of mouth. The show ran for 97 episodes across 5 seasons, a remarkable achievement for a series that networks considered difficult and uncommercial. Its success came from connecting with viewers who craved television that respected their intelligence. The production values were impressive for network television. Each episode required extensive period costumes, sets, and props to recreate different decades authentically. The $43 billion project budget mentioned in the show's premise reflected the real-world costs of mounting such an ambitious series. Every leap demanded new locations, new supporting casts, and meticulous attention to historical detail. Donald P. Bellisario assembled a repertory company of actors who appeared in multiple episodes as different characters across various time periods. This creative decision saved money while building a familiar ensemble that audiences grew to love. Watching the same actors play completely different roles in different eras became part of the show's charm. The writing was consistently exceptional, tackling complex social issues within compelling personal stories. Episodes like The Leap Home allowed Sam to visit his own family's past, creating emotional stakes that went beyond the weekly mission. Mirror Image provided a philosophical finale that asked whether Sam's leaps were controlled by God, fate, or his own conscience. International success proved the show's universal appeal. Quantum Leap aired in dozens of countries, with audiences worldwide connecting to its message of second chances and social justice. The premise transcended cultural boundaries because empathy and the desire to make things better are human universals. The cultural revolution Quantum Leap didn't just entertain, it educated. The show aired during a period when discussions about diversity and inclusion were largely absent from mainstream television. While other series avoided controversial topics, Quantum Leap dove headfirst into America's most difficult conversations about race, gender, and social justice. The series finale revealed that Sam's leaps weren't random. They were guided by a higher power to help people who couldn't help themselves. This spiritual element elevated the show beyond science fiction into something approaching modern mythology. Sam became a Christ-like figure, sacrificing his own life to improve others' circumstances, never asking for recognition or reward. Educational institutions embraced the show as a teaching tool. History teachers used episodes to illustrate historical periods, while social science professors analyzed the show's approach to discrimination and social change. Quantum Leap proved that popular entertainment could be intellectually substantial without being preachy or pretentious. The show's influence on later television was profound. Every time travel series since, from Sliders to Timeless to the recent Quantum Leap reboot, borrowed Bellisario's template of using historical scenarios to explore contemporary issues. The idea that science fiction could be a vehicle for social commentary became standard practice. The series created a blueprint for prestige television decades before the term existed. Complex moral situations, character development across multiple episodes, and willingness to tackle difficult subjects became the standard for quality television. Quantum Leap proved audiences would embrace challenging content if it was wrapped in compelling storytelling. Quantum Leap succeeded because it never forgot that great science fiction is really about human nature. The time travel and quantum physics were window dressing for stories about courage, compassion, and the possibility of positive change. Sam Beckett's weekly mission to put right what once went wrong became television's most optimistic worldview. The show's episodic structure allowed viewers to jump in anywhere while building long-term character development. New audiences could enjoy any single episode as a complete story, while loyal fans followed Sam's gradual acceptance of his mission and growing relationship with Al. It was accessible television that rewarded deeper engagement. Scott Bakula's casting was inspired. His theatrical background and singing ability allowed him to tackle episodes requiring musical performances or dramatic range that would have challenged less versatile actors. His natural likability made audiences root for Sam even when his actions seemed questionable or his situations appeared hopeless. The production team's commitment to historical accuracy elevated every episode above typical time travel fare. Costumes, music, dialogue, and social attitudes were meticulously researched to create authentic period atmospheres. Viewers learned about history while being entertained, making education feel like escapism. 20 years after its finale, Quantum Leap remains remarkably progressive. Episodes dealing with homosexuality, domestic violence, and racial equality feel contemporary rather than dated. The show's willingness to tackle controversial subjects with sensitivity and intelligence created timeless television that continues to resonate with new generations: the cultural crime scene. Quantum Leap didn't just predict the future of television. It created the template for how entertainment could address social issues without sacrificing storytelling quality. Every show that uses genre elements to explore contemporary problems owes debt to Belisario's pioneering approach. The series finale's revelation that Sam never returned home became one of television's most discussed endings. The ambiguity about whether he chose to continue helping people or was trapped by forces beyond his control sparked decades of fan speculation. The 2022 reboot's entire premise was built around solving this mystery. Modern streaming television exists because Quantum Leap proved audiences would embrace complex, serialized storytelling that required emotional investment. Shows like This Is Us, The Good Place, and Russian Doll follow Quantum Leap's template of using high-concept premises to explore fundamental questions about identity, purpose, and human connection. The body-swapping elements that aimed fantastic in 1989 feel prophetic in an era of virtual reality, social media personas, and growing awareness of transgender experiences. Sam's weekly identity crises anticipated contemporary conversations about the fluidity of gender, race, and personal identity. The show was accidentally ahead of its time. The show that NBC couldn't schedule properly became the gold standard for science fiction television with social conscience. A series that struggled to find its time slot created timeless television that continues to inspire new generations of viewers and creators. Sometimes the most important revolutions happen one leap at a time. So was Quantum Leap too progressive for its own good, or exactly the show television needed but didn't know how to handle? What's your favorite example of science fiction tackling social issues? Drop your thoughts below and subscribe for more stories about shows that change television by changing minds one episode at a time.